So, good afternoon, Alex. Finally, we meet again. How have you been?
Been doing great, Ali. Really, it's great to see you again after our exchange in the past. We are moving forward, growing with our team, growing in logistics is getting more and more challenging, and I'm really looking forward for exchange today and also to share our ideas and the visions for the future. It's great to see you, Ali.
Awesome. So, yeah, this is our third session that we have, and I'm happy that finally we get to record it and in a podcast format. So, before we get to the main thing, which is important for you and for me, and I'm sure for the people who listen and watch this video, tell me a little bit more about yourself. Of course, you're a global CIO at the great company of Fiege, and it's very famous. But how would you introduce yourself and your company before we get into the fun part of the conversation?
Great, great. So first, I want to start with personal part because part of our strategy it's all about the people. So I'm married, happily married. In couple of days, 41 years old. So living close to Düsseldorf in Germany. Yeah, with the one really small daughter that is also 2 years old. Couple of background information about myself. Also, I played a bit of the rugby in the past. So also the team sport and gentleman sport. And about my professional background, I started my career in automotive industry. So I was responsible for the SAP integrations worldwide from China and Shenzhen up to the Brasilia in Brazil and Sao Paulo, where we rolled out the integrated production logistics systems. So for one big French company, so with more than 100,000 employees worldwide. So since more than 11 years, I'm working for company Fiege. And who is Fiege? Fiege is in fifth generation privately owned company by the family Fiege. And we are one of the logistic pioneers in sector of transport, logistics, and warehousing, with really quite a lot of innovative models and quite a lot of innovative digital approaches. I started my career by Fiege with strategic IT project management and IT management. Then in 2014, we started the digital transformation program that we built up from the scratch. So I was leading the information management, digital transformation area, and also our SAP logistic competency centers. And since 3 years, I'm responsible as a global CIO for a complete IT and the digital future of the Fiege Group. So much from my side, Ali. Hopefully it helps.
Awesome. So thank you for spelling the Fiege, and it's not Fiege as I said, it's Fiege. So sorry for mispronunciation. And I'm not sure, but sometimes I think it's only me that pronounce the names not in the right way, and sometimes my friends tell me that it's an IT thing. So before we get to the conversation about what we talked about before, people leader and what does it mean and what's the secret of your success as global CIO at Fiege, I'm curious to know: do you also suffer from a problem with pronouncing names, or it's only me?
But it's from time to time, So nobody's perfect, Ali, So also sometimes I'm also, let's say, not pronouncing it correct because it's a worldwide company, a lot of different interpretation in different countries. So we're all trying to do our best as you, but sometimes it happens. So regarding this, no worries. A link to the what is the secret to success. So a secret to success, it's really to build up and to grow the team. So you as strong as your team and your teammates in your organization. So we really put a big value, and personally, I put a big value to the really foundation of our organization, that this people itself. In our company, we don't call each other. We are a really direct company, communication, and we are all directly speaking. So I'm Alex, all of my teammates in the team. So really, this personal approach and really living what you preach. So when we presented our new strategy in 2019, that foundation, it's not only technology, digitalization, and innovation, but foundation, it's people itself and how they apply these technologies in the future, that this is the game changer. This is really something that really showed us that this was a winning strike for us. And really, we had amazing results in the last 3 years, showing that investment in the people itself and living it up to the latest levels and up to all of the levels in the organization is really making a change.
Yes, definitely. Investing in people is the key. And these days, as we talked before, more companies want to do that. But I'm curious to know, how do you invest on people? I mean, what specifics you do in terms of investing? Is it training? Is it kind of like treating them well? Is it like respecting them? How do you do it? Is it team building?
Ali, this is really good questions. First, all of us could make a change in our organization. So we were also the first pilot in our company to build a new way of the leadership in 2019. And as I already mentioned, you need to start with the small things. So what are the small things? I could give you a couple of examples that also our teammates that are listening our podcasts could also apply some of those things in their daily routines. A lot of companies are going and presenting, okay, we really care about the people. This is the strategy, and this is really important for the future. But they're not integrating, let's say, this mindset and this spirit in their organizational units and in their processes. So what we started with so-called low-hanging fruits. And what are low-hanging fruits? Are some small gimmicks. So for example, each new teammate that is starting to work for Fiege IT, on the first day, he or she is getting a small bonsai tree signed by his superior or her superior, stating, "Dear, I don't know, Volker, welcome to the Fiege team." So this is also a small type of gesture, really, that really stays burn in your mind until end of your career. So that we really, from the first day, we really care about you. So this is really something that a lot of people say, my goodness, but this doesn't help. But this is really the first impression. And first impression after the interview and the first starting date is making the key. Then applying the, let's say, the new way of leadership in the processes, it's also really a key to success. When you go in a lot of companies, interviews look like interrogation in police office. So we said, okay, we need to change the way how we are recruiting. Really, the candidates should feel us and see our real faces from the first second of the interview. So our interviews are really running in really, let's say, like on, I can say, living room baseline, so that you're like sitting on the sofa with us and speaking openly. Be yourself, and we are what we are. And really, this showed us that applying the smaller cultural hacks together with our people and culture department, and we don't call our HR anymore HR or personal department, we call it the people and culture. We renamed it completely. Really showed us that applying these ways, when the candidates come to the interview, we have a rate of over 90% of the candidates when they meet us and see the spirit, they're ready to start with us and start on the long run with the Fiege as their future company. So this means it's really great to speak about the culture, but you also need to make it measurable. So also here in this case, we applied certain KPIs where we said, okay, when we changed our interview process, so how many candidates said yes and how many candidates said no? This is also one of the KPIs for the candidates we really wanted in our team. And we have seen that we boosted our performance in this case for almost 50%, only applying the culture and being this who we are. So this is, let's say, one of the cultural hacks, so that then we speak about war of the talents. But of course, you could inspire somebody on an interview, but you need to deliver afterwards when the also candidate starts to work with you. You won't finish it with one bonsai tree. So the second point that what we did is integrating the people first, and it's all about the people in our processes. And what I mean about processes, I mean, for example, our monthly meetings. So really don't start with the projects, with the customer, they start with the people itself in all of the levels of our IT organization. It is the server team or top management IT team. In this case, we really start with highlights, with lowlights, with the satisfaction factor of the teammate and what the team could do to improve the satisfaction of this teammate. And in this case, really, we are opening and really making high performance team. And if you take example of the Navy SEALs, why Navy SEALs are really so performing, and the key point why they're performing so much is the trust. And especially in the times that we are living, remote times, remote leadership, a lot of people haven't seen each other. We as a leader, we need to adapt our way how we are leading and build even these remote trustful teams. So applying these principles, for example, I'm just giving you some cultural hacks and principles that we applied. We succeeded to measure also the satisfaction per team, per department. So we have KPI at the end. And then in this case, also from the management side, from the people and culture side, we could react not one time in a year when there is a questionnaire sent to complete company how happy you are from the HR department. We could react immediately. And on the second side, a lot of teammates really opened themselves. So the teammates started to help each other, so and to support each other much more efficient than asking a leader to help them at this point. So these were, let's say, a couple of examples that I wanted to share with you, Ali, so that could be really easily applied, that you could really make a small cultural hacks in the organization and move organization, up to the sky and really build the high performance teams.
Wow, so many things to do. I just wrote a couple of them. And as I was listening to you, I couldn't help but just to say, do you hire? I mean, when is the next time that you hire some people? Because I felt so exciting about just the idea of coming to the interview process. And usually the interview process is the part that some people kind of scared. Their fears come out. Oh my God, am I good enough? Are they going to select me? But that whole gesture of bonsai tree and the attitude, the culture, the way you treat them from the beginning, and I think it's really kind of like respecting them and trusting that when you are yourself, they're going to show up at their best instead of at their worst, which is what the fear does, right? When people are afraid, they try to put masks on, and then it's difficult to have a conversation from heart to heart. And from our previous conversation, we said that how caring and loving and honest and hardworking IT people are. It doesn't matter where they're in the organization. And when you treat them well, when you speak to their hearts, their brilliance, their rational brain actually starts to flourish. And that's what we need, right? And you mentioned trust, and trust is definitely an issue. But I'm curious to know, how do you cultivate trust? How do you create that trusting space? What specific? Some IT people love tips and tricks. I'm curious to know, what do you think?
So how do you build the trust? So we are all busy, especially all of us on the C level or in top management. We never have time. The most valuable resource in our lives, it's time itself, and also in the business lives. So, for example, how to build the trust? I could wear the suit and go in with a tie and meet the people, invite them on lunch, and that's it. Yeah, and I'm going to be a great C-level executive. Or I could organize with my team, I don't know, the onboarding, virtual onboarding, with a virtual lunch where, like today, my teammates are going to see that Alex is not some C-level shark. He's the same person like me. He's not better than me or not worse than me. So, and he's going to make really a personal onboarding for, I don't know, last week it just happened. So that our last onboarding, where personally I'm onboarding for 4 hours each 2 months, over, let's say, 20, 30 of our teammates that are starting to work in IT or within the business units or within our corporate IT. And there we are really building a great spirit. And this really starts with the first point, how do you introduce yourself? If you introduce yourself, I'm a CIO and my name is Mr. Rodic, and I did everything what you've seen till now. This is really a different spirit and different trust that you build if you really introduce yourself who you are and if you really make it personal. And this point, Ali, what I mentioned before, really to make it personal, is a game changer. We had really top-notch managers and really top-notch experts that came to us and said us on the feedback after this personal onboarding. They said we are working in this industry, in IT industry, in different companies. In the last 20 years, we haven't lived and seen such an onboarding. So you're really what you're preaching, you're living it. And this is really something that not only the CIO should do. This is something that all of the leaders within the IT should apply. And this is exactly the culture that we build with all of our VPs, with all of our head of IT, that they really make it personal. And at the end, of the onboarding, we had the lunch together. We were speaking. Everybody introduced himself, what he likes, what he doesn't like. If they wanted to share the personal things, who they are, what type of hobbies do they have. Really, this is the building the trust in the team. There, I don't know. Last week, I think there was 20, 25 new people, and after half an hour, they felt like they're together since years. And this is exactly the culture and the spirit that all of the future C-level executives, this is CIO or CEO, need to build. Because the point is, at the end, it's not about the money. It's not only about, let's say, why you're doing some things. It's also the environment and culture that you bring. And I really like this sentence, Ali: culture eats strategy for breakfast. So if you really build an amazing culture, you can really lift up the organization, the people up to the skies.
A statement that I think you mentioned in the other session you had a couple of days ago. I saw on the LinkedIn that you've been invited as a speaker and Global CIO event. And I really love the quote, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And as I was thinking to you, I remembered I had a conversation with another CIO, and she was telling me it's very easy for some of the CIOs who's sitting on top of an organization which is functioning and say, well, culture is important, people first, and lead by example. But the problem is that, my CEO doesn't support me, the board doesn't support me, I'm just only 1%. So a list of all the troubles that she was facing. And I was thinking, my God, what could help her? I mean, because she was in a very lonely place. And when you're in that lonely place, how you can apply those strategies, those awesome tactics that you said today?
Ali, I could give you also, let's say, our position. So let's say in a couple of last years, we onboarded more than hundreds of IT team members, hundreds, and it's not tens. So in our lines, digitally across Europe. And we succeeded really to increase, despite the COVID, despite that you cannot see and touch somebody personally, we succeeded that motivation jumped almost for more than 10% with our IT lines. So what type of tips I could give it to you? So we started in IT, so together with our people and culture department. And all CIOs need to be bold. You need to be bold. You need to take the risks. You need to believe in the things really that you feel in your heart that this is going to really make a change. And especially in this case, in our corporation, in our, let's say, company. So we started in IT. We were, let's say, like a beacons, gazing within the organization. And then slowly more and more organizational units have seen how we are doing it. And now they're applying it in their area. So it's like a snow avalanche that all of us can start. And this is really something that I want to share with you, that all of us, even the smallest person in organization, depending on the rank, could make a change and show and inspire others how it could be done. So when we speak about our organization, we are really not in situation to say, okay, we are really in comfortable situation and we are just managing and improving. We are growing rapidly, almost 10% to 50% each year, the natural growth of our company. So this means we have a lot of pressure, a lot of projects, a lot of new innovations. And if you don't build a healthy culture within your teams and people identify themselves with it, when you wake them up in the morning, they say, I'm because of this here, and I'm not here only to administrate the servers or write 3 lines of code. Then really we could reach up to the skies and achieve the maximum for the people at first place and on the second place for the organization.
What I'm hearing is that the first step is that to start from within as a leader, to be really comfortable with going for the challenge, to step up, to elevate your leadership, just depending on your own skills and your team, empowering your team, caring for your team, doesn't matter where they are. And once the IT organization as a whole becomes the dream culture company, the people first company within the organization, that has a contagious impact on the rest of organization. So it's not about looking outwards and say, as long as the outside is not the way that I want it to be, therefore I cannot be successful. It's quite the opposite. Let's change the whole conversation and say, first IT change, and then we see what happens. And people by people, isn't it? Like when the rest of organization says, these are our IT people that we thought, are not part of organization. They're kind of like introverts and hyper rationals. And we just call them when we know what we want. Whereas they see, oh my God, this is an awesome organization that the people there, we love to be with them. We want to party with them. One of my friends, a great CIO retired, he said, if your CEO doesn't take you with him to play golf and takes other C executives, then this means something. you should be the friend of everybody within the organization. You should be that leader that inspires everybody. So I'm curious to know. So far, we talked about the employees and the different units within the IT organization. When it comes to your peers, other C executives, what's the magic there? What's the Alex magic? How do you handle that?
At the end, we call it, it's a really a people business at the end. So also with the C executives, with my colleagues from the managing the directors, also from the business units that are leading the smaller organizations, the bigger organizations that don't have turnover of half of the billion per year. So of course, all of us, we need to cope with different types of complexity and maturity levels in the different organizational units. And of course, here the key to success is to create the platform to start the discussion. Easiest thing is to complain. And there is really a nice expression, every fool can complain at the end and tell what is wrong. So normally what we did in our organization was to say, let's also make the personal business relationship management. So don't send just a questionnaire left and right, do the statistics, but make it personal. So how does it look like in our organization? We started so-called extended business relationship management meetings one time per quarter, where all of the main leaders from one business unit are joining us. We are sitting all on one table with their top management team, our top management team, circle of 8 people, speaking about issues, challenges, projects, strategies, but personal, also face to face. In time of Corona, it was digital. And we use those meetings also for the feedback to each other. So in this case, so we gave the feedback and we received the feedback. So normally in the, let's say, people and culture world, we're going to say, my goodness, never give the feedback to feedback. But using these feedbacks, and for example, if you take example that typical McKinsey scoring 1 to 6 stars, yeah. So and if the business unit gave us for innovation domain 2 stars out of 6, then we said, okay, my dear colleagues, what we could improve, what are your expectations? So we launched the discussion and alignment, how we could improve together, not going away from complaining mode to moving together and improving. So in a short period of time, applying these principles, so we succeeded to improve our scoring and customer satisfaction for almost 20% within the 6 months applying this principle. Because at the end, it's all an issue in communication. There are a lot of innovations standing in our pockets that were not maybe rightly communicated, rightly addressed. That is the challenge that all C-level executives have at this stage. So complexity, a lot of things are moving really too fast, and really to focus and to find the right solution and the right products to enhance different business sectors. So this is exactly what we have seen in the first scoring. Ali, can you imagine? One business unit said to us, "You're the most innovative area." They gave us 5 out of 6 stars. Another one gave us also 5, and third and fourth business units gave us 2. Same people, same IT, same culture, and really completely opposite perspectives. So in this case, we use this to improve, and this is exactly the point. So if you have some weak spots, don't hide them. Be open, show those weak spots, show that you're working on them, and use, let's say, mathematics from the IT to make it more personal. So exactly as we discussed, you mean really an amazing session, left and right side of the brain. So that we try to move also our business guys to become more mathematical and to become more KPI driven, so that we could together move and improve the business and increase the customer satisfaction, revenue, profits, and etc. So key to success, it's also there to make it personal. Also make it personal. So in the cases where we met together, we went on the dinner together. So and then in the evening, so we spent really quality time together, and really this bonded the team. So it's not Mr. Person X or Y. Really, it's then you are really a person. You learn something about this executive, something about his private life, what he likes, what he doesn't like, and really on that way you're building the trust across the organization. You're building the trust that together you build the spirit, we as one. And this was really something, our motto. And he said, we don't want the bridges to build the bridges between IT and business. We simply created one simple slogan, and this slogan was IT it's business and business is IT. We are one. So, and this is exactly something that what I could emphasize and give the hints to my fellow colleagues, young CIOs or young C executives. At the end, it's all about the people and people relationships. But please make it measurable. So don't only speak and create some connections, also try to create the metrics so you could measure improvements, because the sentence really that I love, you cannot manage what you cannot measure, is really true. So at some stages, owners of your company, your shareholders are going to come to you and say, okay, it's great what you're telling to us, but how are you measuring this? And making those smart KPIs together with the business is also key to success of it.
What you can measure, you can improve. This is what I heard from you. And it's all about improving those 2 stars to 3 and a 4 and a 5. And you mentioned about this conversation we had about the left brain and the right brain, which is very interesting. So maybe for the people who don't know our previous conversation, a quick recap. According to the neurosciences and the positive intelligence science, the left side of our brain, there are these so-called rational thinking circuitry, all neurons which are responsible for helping us to make rational decisions. But at the same time, they're responsible for creating all the fear. And there are 10 of them, famous names. And number one is the judge. And the judge is the one which is blaming you, blaming others, blaming situations. And the moment you get into measuring stuff, as you said, you get into the blame mode. It was not my fault. Somebody else has caused this mess. Our IT people are great. Look at the stars we have. And if that department is just give us 2 stars, this is their problem, not us. So we are great, which is not true, because at the same time, at the right side of our brain is the higher level of cognition and the power, which we call it sage brain, and is responsible for love, for compassion, for connectivity, for innovation, for curiosity, for sense of purpose, for value. All of them are at the right side of our brain. And in our conversation, we came to the conclusion, I would say, that IT people use most of the time the left side of the brain. So we are in tune at doing and thinking, not maybe always connected to the emotions and how the other people feel. And talking about trust, I would say the first step towards building trust is to be able to empathize and put yourself in the shoes of everybody that you serve. If you talk about people-centered leadership, means to get it that it is hard for lots of people to do stuff the way we want them to do. And as we put ourselves in their shoes, we have to take off our own shoes, isn't it? We should let go of all the things about me, my department, my KPIs, my targets. And it should be about, okay, it's about me, but let's first see the other person as well. Let's respect the other person. And I think that's a gesture which is like opens the heart and brings, different people. Doesn't matter if you're sitting at the top management level or in the middle management or just a programmer. When you really see people care for you, understand you, then you're open to understand and open your ears. And you mentioned communication, isn't it? Most of the time it's about the communication issue. So when I'm thinking about my own fears, my own shortcomings, my own targets, I'm disconnected from the other person and the organization and the bigger picture, what we are serving for. You mentioned customers, right? So we are serving the customer as well. So it's not about me having a job here. It's about all of us together singing in such an harmony that the people within the organization and also outside would benefit from it. And I would say you have a great balance between the left and the right side of the brain, Alex. As I listen to you, not only you're measuring what needs to be measured, but at the same time, you kind of having that big heart for everybody. So kudos to you. I'm really enjoy every time talking to you. What comes up for you?
So really, Ali, thanks very much for really great words. And this is also something that, from my perspective, I really like to share. Is a lot of C executives and a lot of us are challenged with the same problem. And if you try to see it in a nutshell, in the last couple of years, we hear a lot of buzzwords and buzzwords and buzzwords. Yeah, changing, fast changing environment. Environment was changing never so fast at the moment. War of talents, war of talents. We have issue to find the right teammates for organization. Remote, a new way of working. mental health of our teammates. So all of those are valid points, but those valid points and let's say those challenges that we have are the ones that we as a leaders need to resolve in within our organization. And to come to the one of the next points, so in area of the let's say remote work. So there were really interesting studies so made so to say okay across the globe. So what is the future of work? And we have seen in those studies that the requirements that are linked to the culture standing in behind it's the expectations were not same for our teammates in India or our teammates in Germany or in Eastern Europe about the new way of working. And exactly to listen and to ask and your teammates and your organization what is the right approach for the future is the right way. So what we did, for example, at Fiege, is that we really asked all of our hundreds of IT team members, so what they would wish to see in the future. And we have seen really the different expectations from the different countries where our IT team members are standing. And this is also linked to the culture. But the listening, explaining, making it personal and really showing that you care and that you listen at the end, it's really key to success. And what I could really, let's say, emphasize on this level is don't make the rush decisions. You know, so I heard a lot of C executives that they're stating, yeah, tomorrow, great, oh, it's almost over with COVID, and now tomorrow we're gonna force everybody back to office. If you do this, you're gonna, and there is a really interesting study, and this was confirmed also in some of the internal surveys, you can lose up to 50% of your workforce, IT workforce, if you're forcing your teammates to do something that they don't want. And listening, having the empathy, and also understanding and building the trust at the end, it's really key to success. Only what I could share with you from our experiences in tough area that we are working. Logistic is really not easy sector, so I don't want to undermine other sectors. Really fast moving, fast changing, and really one agile, fast growing environment.
Definitely, I can personally um, emphasize on that. You know, without the network, the logistic network during these past 2 years, I would say we would have suffered even much more. So the people who really made this international transport, local transport functioning, and not only like keeping it alive, we see like in your company is thriving, using modern technology to make it even easier and faster and safer for everybody. I personally kind of like in Austria, living in the luxury of having the Austrian Post and the whole logistics built there in such a way that, you know what, I'm thinking about, I don't go and waste my time in buying stuff anymore, not from the online shop. I can even order from my local stores. All these digital initiatives that happen in Austria without having a good infrastructure and the people who really care for building a culture which is sustainable would not have worked, because you see the result in the software. You see how people-centered it is, how it is easy to use, how, and the support that you receive from those organizations, it is amazing. I mean, I've been in IT for almost 25 years. For me, it was like, it's difficult, right? But when you see, when you care for the people, it becomes easy because the people can put their heart in to whatever they do. And what it triggered in me is the happiness piece that you mentioned. I want to shortly talk about that. According to the positive psychology research, which is this is awesome. I love that. By the way, as a former CIO, I was kind of like a pragmatic. I didn't really like these assessments, psychology assessments. There's nothing wrong with my brain. I'm the master of my brain, so don't tell me I need to make an assessment that to find out there's something wrong with me. But interestingly, I realized that every time in my whole career, when I was creative and successful, I was happy. I was joyful. I was so excited about creating something and showing to somebody and helping somebody. That energy made my brain really work harder. And every time I had to just accept the situation and do a boring job, the quality was going down. So definitely research shows there is a correlation between happiness and joyfulness and productivity and performance and well-being, all that. So I think it's a very logical, smart move to focus on the root cause of performance, which is happiness. When you're people centered, you care for the human being in all aspects. And magically, that human being, which is the most sophisticated machine in the whole universe, would do magics. Start people start working together much easier. There would be no hurdle. There would be no problem. You don't have to say, "Hey, come on, we need new ideas. Come on, you have to come up with a new idea till tomorrow." The new ideas just coming up. You say, "Hey, hold on, guys, we don't have time to handle that. Keep your excitement at bay." So now, how a CIO, an awesome CIO, can keep up with all these challenges at work, and at the same time stay joyful and happy, because it's really tough. It's really hard to be a CIO, isn't it?
It is, Ali, and really, it's really not the easy job for all of us, So, but if you really do something from the heart and you really believe in it, and people really see that you're not just like an actor acting in something, but you're really living it, and you're showing this in your deeds and the things that you're doing. Really, this makes you satisfied. And I could give you a couple of examples, that what we changed in the last 3 years. For example, annual appraisals, yearly performance appraisal talks. A lot of companies are still living in this world. Dear Ali, you're my teammate. You have 1 hour. We are filling some tables. We're discussing maybe about your bonus, your performance you get the next year. Maybe the HR is sitting next to it, and that's it. This is the leadership of 21st century? Not. This is also something that we changed rapidly in our organization, where we said it needs to be personal. This annual appraisal talks, and alignments are starting, that we get the feedback as the leaders and organization from you, that we protocolize them, so that we put really what is your satisfaction with your superior, and how important on scale 1 to 6 this is for you. Because we have seen that, I could give you the anecdote. A lot of people were skeptic and said, guys, it's data safety, data security. And we asked at the end, our workers committee, corporate workers committee, can we apply such a metrics in our feedback meetings, in our continuous feedback culture, in our yearly performance appraisals? And there were also skeptic people who said, Alex, you're going to make this. And we made it. Because then in this case, we've seen that what is all important for you, it's not the same importance for me or for another your teammate that are on the eye level. And creating such a metrics that really we put possibility that you as our leader, or you as our teammate, are really thinking what are really attractors, and the point is which topics are really demotivating you, and creating some type of the scorecard that you could start to do also mathematics with your emotions at the end, and really brought us to the next level. And this yearly performance appraisals in our organization, they last for between 2 and 3 hours. Sometimes if it's required, to do it longer. And really, this is something that we have seen afterwards when you're meeting in the monthly meetings, that the highlight for our teammates for next 1 or 2 months was annual appraisal. Highlight. So, and if you really do it on that way, and really you invest this energy, it costs a lot of energy, but energy is not wasted if you do what you really love. And making this culture and building such a culture and approach, at the end of the day, I don't feel, I can say, wasted or energy drained. I feel hyped. So, and in this case, I'm already thinking about tomorrow, what we could do together. And this is really something that I can say differentiates people and the leaders that really mean it and live it from the heart, or the ones that are just playing the game for their own sakes. So much from my side, Ali.
Beautifully said. If you do your work, if you come from place of heart, if your job is to open up hearts and connect the hearts and understand and measure the hearts, rather than on the problems and the topics and initiatives and all that hard work, even when you work, imagine 16, 17 hours a day, you're not drained, because that energy working with people and see the results, see the impact on them. Maybe your people are tired because of lots of working, but at the same time they're joyful, they're peaceful, they're excited. They are going to do that, say go home, so no, I still have to finish that because it's very important. So this is great, and somehow reminded me of your personal favorite hero, historic character, Buddha. As you said it, coming from the heart. So how do you think, having some other knowledge about the universe and the way to live your lives could help a CIO to really become that people leader that deserves to be?
So really the key of the top of the, let's say, the main characteristic is to be yourself. So all of us are sometimes, as you mentioned before, wearing some masks when we in the morning and put our masks on our faces before we go to office to pretend something that we are not. So, and the point is, we are not born leaders or non-born leaders. Leadership could be learned. Some of us are born with more energy, some of us with less energy for leadership. But at the end, it's something that could be learned and that you could develop if you really believe in yourself on the first place, and also if you believe that you could develop yourself as a professional, as a leader. So moving forward to key takeaways, we're going to be make it personal. So really make it measurable. So a lot of people and a lot of companies are saying how you could measure the impact of the culture in organization. Yeah, you can do it if you are preparing, creating smart KPIs at the end. Try also to make a close link to your business and with your customers. So at the end, really the great achievement would be that you're invited to the most of the sessions, that the business and the customers see you as a core part of enablement and core part of the business itself, than the person that is disabling and only showing the problems, if this is linked to security or whatever other topics in the IT. But driving this vision and moving forward and constantly investing in yourself. The sentence training is never over. Yeah, so like in the Navy SEALs, you constantly need to invest in yourself to learn, to listen what is happening on the market. And I really like the sentence of I think it was from Bruce Lee, if I believe, is to say, okay, take the best from all others and make it on your own way. So scan, look what other leaders are doing. So, and you don't need to replicate it. You don't need to be a copycat. Adapt it, make it better, what Sir Henry Royce said. So take what exists and make it better. So this is the engineering at the end. This is also leadership engineering. So make your own way and inspire others so to achieve their goals and achieve their growth. So these are the key takeaways coming from my side out.
Believe in yourself, believe in others, and know that there is always growth opportunity. And for me, always it is amazing listening to you. Make it personal, make it measurable, and make it fun, right? I mean, come from the place of heart and make it fun, because what we do is amazing and people deserve to also receive the best version of us through our services and products. So if there would be one thing that you want to leave with our new CIOs, new head of ITs, new VP of technologies, new managers at the C level, what would it be? What is one amazing sentence that you want them to remember?
This is a really good question. So, but I would stay with the sentence that's repeated so much time today in the session. So, be yourself, make it personal, and really bring the organization and yourself really to the next level by applying the best of breed approach for the future.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Alex, for this amazing conversation. This was our first recorded conversation. I know you're very busy, and I can't wait till we have the next podcast with you with awesome conversations. And for those people who want to know what is the name of this podcast series that we're planning to do with Alex, we want to go with Jedi CIO. And the reason is that, I love Star Trek, Star Wars, and also Alex. And I always was thinking that if the CIOs would have the power of Master Jedi's, the mind control power, everything would be easy. But today, I think we already talked about it. If you come from place of heart, if you use the right side of your brain and compassion, you're already a Jedi CIO. because the heart opens everything, opens the minds. You don't have to convince anybody. You're already influencing the whole culture and the organization. And it's a skill to be learned. And in our next sessions, I'm sure Alex is going to teach us more about how we can learn awesome things. Thank you for tuning in, and best of luck to you, Alex.
Thank you very much, Ali, for a great moderation. It was fun as usual. Looking forward to our next session, Ali. Take
Thank
care
you.
and bye bye.
Bye bye.